Hello, friends. Select. This is the Labrador Retriever.
Bag that I decided to go with the cheap Walmart. I think it was like $20 bag. Throw bag or sling bag. Gun is inside here. So I'll tell you why in a minute. Yeah. Forget my clumsiness. The RV is parked at a little bit of an angle here on the side of the road. The freeway. But anyway, let's just see out the freeway while I talk. Basically, the more and more I drive and get in and out of that driver's seat and everything, I do have the nothing but trickle guard holster for use on the belt, and it's fine while standing. I could stand all day, walk around, do whatever I need to do, or sit down here and there a little bit. But to sit down half the day and to stand up half the day and move around, it's just too complicated to have the belt on while driving. So in the meantime, I just leave the gun in the bag and have the bag down there in the passenger seat usually as I'm driving, so I can get to it if I need to, but I'm not worried about using the gun while I'm in the unit. I'm more so about the gun for when I'm on foot, having to use public transportation around in between the units. But when you buy a bag for bag carry, I would recommend buying maybe like a 945 Industries bag that's just small, that's just the shape of the gun itself, and maybe an extra magazine in it, and walk around your everyday 9 to 5 or life like that, and it'd be perfect. And if I wasn't transporting, that'd be the way I would be bag carrying if you go to get bag carry. However, because of my having to transport and go through more sensitive places, I consider this to be a little bit less obvious that I'm packing a gun, in my opinion. And then plus, this during when I don't have the rig, when I'm on foot, this has my stuff I need for transporting, which is the plates, the decals, that right there in the dash, the plate decal tape and all that. And it's got a Nintendo Switch, and it's got 3 pairs of glasses for the 1 pair that I have on now and the 2 that are in here. And that's because anything fragile that I do not want to have break on me in the backpack, then I keep in the back part at the moment. If I don't have any, if I don't want anything fragile getting in that bag, so I can throw that bag around, and it's got nothing but clothes and the gun case in it that doesn't have a gun in it. When I'm throwing it around, obviously, but so the main thing is I don't want to go up through the train sidecar or up the bus stairwell into the bus and have the driver or somebody else see the gun on my belt in a normal concealment fashion, because once they see it, then you're screwed, because I have to go through these more sensitive areas than normal people do. You're 9 to 5ers. When you go from your job to go out shopping and go back home and everything, you're never going through really a sensitive area. I unfortunately do have to go through a sensitive area because my choices are transport without a gun, uh, not transport and carry a gun, or have to mitigate the two and transport with a gun for my own safety. And at the end of the day, I think we have a Second Amendment for a reason, and I'd much rather have the gun than have to worry about sensitive areas, so to speak. And in my opinion, I'm not going to treat anywhere as a sensitive area if it doesn't have metal detectors and armed security guarding it. Outside of that, they're just asking for trouble anyway, for one thing. And then on top of it, the lawmakers passed a sensitive area around public transportation for that reasons, to keep the scum that naturally go there from doing things. Or if they did set something off and do something on that property, and then they have a charge literally locally for that area that they can charge them with, is what the reason behind it. Obviously, I don't plan on doing anything of the like unless somebody came up to me and tried to do something to me, in which case then I'd pull out the gun, pull out the, do all that yada yada. But anyway, this bag, because it has everything else in it, has my Nintendo Switch, has my 3 pairs of glasses, has my plates, has my decals and stuff that I want for work, so I don't lose it out of the other bag. This is always going to go with me on the bus. But because of that and having everything else in there, I don't have the gun loaded. What's in this bag? I have 2 mags on the top, separate pocket, and then the gun is on the top side pocket, and then all my work stuff. And the Nintendo Switch, because it's got a fragile joystick pieces that you play the game with, or $80 a shot if they break. And then, of course, my glasses to drive with and whatnot. are in here because they're fragile, and I want to keep all that on me so that I'm not throwing it around accidentally in the other bag. But I don't keep the gun loaded in this bag for that reason, because there's just too much stuff around there that could wiggle around and get the gun out of the holster, and things can go boom boom in the night, especially someplace like a bus or train or something, and I don't want to injure anybody else because of my negligence. And so I figure the best option that I have at the moment, at least until I stop transporting, is carry in the bag, be about 7 seconds. I've done it over and over, where you draw the gun, put the magazine in the gun, rack the slide, get on target, and everything is about 7 seconds, and I can live with it being able to go live in 7 seconds to protect myself if something happens, because you just use situational awareness and you stay aware of everything and everybody around you. And I've been around enough different people to know the body language that just screams I'm up to no good, so I'm not too worried about having been caught off guard, so to speak. And I do have the other option of the miniature holster that's literally just a trigger guard, and that's it, down here on the other side, and then I have a full holster in there to hold it with. But basically, the Glock that I bought only has the trigger safety, mainly as an external safety, and so while it's a good thing that's minimal, and it's nice and minimal, you just load the gun and go boom boom boom, and it goes boom when you need it to go boom, it is potentially a problem whenever you want to use it in a pocket or in a bag, because of the minimalist about it. Only something has to get in there, push the trigger, and go boom if you have it loaded with one in the chamber. So right now I don't want to pack it that way. Now I have no problems whatsoever walking around with the gun loaded and in one in the chamber and everything, with the minimal trigger guard on the belt, because the gun is held and restricted in that spot on your belt, and it's not really allowed to move around and jingle around with everything else. And in that position, Glocks work great on a belt. However, like I said, day-to-day basis, transporting, sitting there for long periods of time with the gun, no matter what position you put it in, it bothers you all the time. Whether I had a minimalist holster like I do, or not, if I have a full holster, same difference. It would still be doing the same thing. I mean, you can maybe make it that a little bit less with a leather holster, but I don't trust leather. I'd rather trust Kydex. But anyway, that's my latest, as I'm gonna walk this around like a baby when I'm not in the rig, or when I'm on foot between rigs. This is the setup. When I am in the rig, if I feel like I should still take the gun with me, if it's a sketchy area or whatever, then you just easily take the gun out, put it on my belt, which I have a stiff belt for anyway, conceal it that way, and I'm totally fine with doing that, because that's in non-sensitive areas. My day-to-day, you walk into McDonald's, you walk into a truck stop or whatever to get food or whatever you're doing, your day-to-day stuff normally doesn't involve a sensitive area. And the sensitive areas that I'm talking about are bus stations, train stations, on the train, on the bus, or of course airports and flying. Those places I have to go, I would call sensitive places, because you do not want to get caught with a gun there, whether you did anything or not. And those sensitive areas are what I'm talking about, carrying full in the bag, unloaded in the bag, for a couple different reasons. The bag, I don't want things to jingle around in here and have it go boom, and then I do not want any way whatsoever if anybody being able to see the gun or holster or anything that would relate to a gun at all, because I do not want to be questioned at all in sensitive areas. So I'm okay with being 7 seconds to live in a sensitive area if I have to be, and then 3 seconds on the belt in non-sensitive areas, like your truck stop, your McDonald's, your whatever fast food you go to, whatever kind of restaurant you go sit down at. Your normal everyday things that you'd be doing as a 9-to-5 are the same type of thing I'd be doing out here on the road. I can take the gun and put it on my belt and go and do that and have no problems with that, because it's not a sensitive area. However, sensitive areas, that's the thing I've gone with so far. And before people ask, why didn't you just buy a 945 Industries bag? I'm thinking about it, but at the same time, other carriers are going to know what's in that small little bag. They're going to question whether there's a gun here in this or not, because of how big it is and all the other bulges and whatever. They're going to question whether there's a gun in here or not, but they're going to, quote unquote, know what's in the gun bag, concealment bag. It's kind of more of an open carry thing in terms of other gun holders, because like if you would go and buy a red Chevy or a red Buick car or whatever kind of favorite car you just bought last time, now all of a sudden you start seeing that on the highway everywhere where you didn't see it before. Like when I bought my or started paying car payments on my Chevy Traverse. Before that, I never noticed any other Traverses on the road, and then after that, I saw them everywhere. It's the same thing when you start carrying a gun. Once you start carrying a gun, you start noticing who all out there is walking around armed or not. And those people I don't want to obviously tip off that I'm carrying a gun, because, like, say, the bus driver or whoever happens to know what the 945 Industries bag looks like. He's going to question whether there's a gun there. He's going to ask me if he can see what's in that thing and whatever, and I don't need any of that happening. So unfortunately, this is the only option I've got to go with. I would not recommend or advise anybody do this kind of lifestyle in terms of with a transporting with a gun. I chose to for my own safety, and I'm going to fall back on the Second Amendment if anything ever does come up. Because we have the right to bear arms to begin with. But that's the way I've chosen to do it. I wouldn't really recommend coming out here on the road and doing this job necessarily. At least for these companies that are only one way. You're one way with the unit and you have to find your way back. If you sign up for a transport company like that, a lot of times they're stuck doing public transport unless you have a nice credit card and you pay the rental car issues. But rental cars have their own problems. I went down that route with Worldwide for a while, and it's fine, but you have to drive all the time. It was a nice preference because you didn't have to be around anybody, but you had to drive all the time. And I kind of like this half drive and then half have a couple days off on public transport going back lifestyle myself better, because then you get a break from it. Most of them at foot gets a break from it. But anyway, I just wanted to show you how I'm going to be rolling around, and it'll be this in the backpack. The backpack will have all my clothes, and it's back there, and the gun case that I need to have for the airport. Or I have the gun case on me in case you ever get caught, so to speak. You might be able to talk them into allowing you to put it in the gun case and lock it secured in the gun case and load it, blah, blah, blah. While you wait it wherever to get to wherever you're going or whatnot. Because most cops, I would say 85% of the cops out there, understand that everybody has the right to bear arms for one thing, and truthfully, as much bad stuff as they've been around in just their profession alone, wouldn't say they prefer it, but they look highly upon people who take the time to protect themselves with the gun. In most cases, most law-abiding citizens, I mean. Starting to sweat to death because it's kind of hot in here. Get everything labeled up, so locked up, so I'm going to get back on the road now that the RV is cooled off. Like and subscribe, leave comments, I'll catch you in a flip. Peace.